hit the record button. Got Denver, got Maryland, got Connecticut, we got Texas, we got, man, we got a little bit of everybody. We got Michigan, we got Phoenix. So inventory is still tough for a lot of people, right? They got Plano, Texas. It's the market's funky, man. It's there really isn't another way to put it. The market's a little funky, and it's gonna stay that way. I think it's gonna stay that way anyway. And I don't see it changing for a little bit. We're gonna see interest rates. I think interest rates will go up a little bit more. And I think that I think it's going to be interesting times. I don't really know how to put it. It's interesting times, and it's going to continue to be interesting times. I don't think anybody really knows where and how that's going to stop. I got some speculation. I feel like I've seen this before, and I feel like it's going to go very similar to what I've seen before. You know, just because you know, all this stuff is typically in patterns. Hey Dan, hey Terry, hey everybody on Facebook. All this stuff seems to go in patterns, and but for the time being, we are where we are. Are any guys looking at getting out of the business in the next 6 months? We got anybody looking at getting out of business in the next 3 months? I don't see anybody raise their hand. Who plans to be in the business? Like, this is your thing. Like, this is the thing that you're probably last career you ever have. How many people do you see that? Raise your hand, okay? Got two. No more than that. So raise your hand. Is this the last career you ever see? Okay, you've got some more. Got some more people. Okay, so with that being said, one of the things that we need to do, yes, Cindy, this is it for me. I don't know how to do anything outside the real estate business. I'm stuck, and you guys are stuck with me, right? You know, we should be looking at how can we build a sustainable plan, right? How can we build that referral business that everybody talks about? How can we, you know, back when I started, they talked about, oh, you can sell your book of business. And really, I don't see where that's really true anymore. But one thing I don't see with most agents is they're not creating a business that is sustainable much past what they're doing this afternoon, right? And I think that's why companies like EXP, Keller Williams, LPT, Real, I think that's one of the reasons why most of those companies are so appealing, because agents don't see where things are going to stop. Once you're on the phone, you're literally on the phone for the rest of your career, right? Once you're buying Zillow leads and things like that, technically you're buying Zillow leads for the rest of your career, right? And that's what we see over and over again. And that's what we hear, and that's what we see other agents do, and that's kind of a pain. So I've been looking at some of this stuff, and I've been thinking about it, and I've been looking at new technology. And of course, you guys know I've worked a lot with the Red X, and they share a lot of data and stuff with me, and it's really exciting. And we're looking at what agents are doing to be most successful. And one of the things that we have seen agents doing to be really successful is we're seeing them take an integrated approach to working on expires and for sale by owners, right? But one of the other things that we're seeing is that agents just aren't doing anymore. Back when I first got in the business, now I hate being that agent going, I've been in the business 20 years. But one of the things that you can brag about by saying that I've been in the business 20 years is I've seen a lot of shit in 20 years, right? And one of the things that happened was agents farmed. When I got in the business, man, agents sent out mail. But man, it was cheap. I think stamps were like 27 cents or something, right? You get stuff printed for 2 cents a copy. I mean, it was ridiculous, right? So agents farmed. When I first got in the business, I worked with an agent in my office. He was doing $4.5–5 million a year, which was a big agent at that time. And I remember going to him and saying, hey man, what are you doing? He goes, well, I got this great newsletter I send out, right? It cost me 17 cents to print. And I remember him telling me this, And it was like, wow, and this guy sent out like thousands of these things a month, and this guy done pretty well for himself, right? But that art and that business, for most of us, we're not seeing it. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, I've lived in the same house probably, gosh, I think 8 or 9 years. I can't remember exactly, but it's been a while. I've been here for a while, and it's in a nice area that's appreciated a lot. I'll tell you what, man, there's only one agent that's farming in this area, and we're talking about average purchase price right now, $500,000, and agents aren't farming. And a lot of agents will start, but then they never really get past starting, right? They just kind of they do something one time, and then they just kind of lose interest. And this is what I see happening with most agents right now that try farming and try what we're talking about. Is number one, they just don't stick with it long enough, right? They don't stick with it long enough for it to work. They don't really understand how it works. They don't really understand how true marketing works, and they don't understand really what they need to do. They don't really have a plan. They just basically go, hey, look here, we're gonna send out some mailers this month to XYZ community, and we're just gonna hope for the best. And then they send out those mailers one time. They go, oh man, I didn't get any calls from that one. I only got one call, and I sent out 500 mailers, right? And then they just quit. Okay. Number two, they have a very inconsistent message. I have literally seen agents send out a piece of mail, and then the next piece of mail, they're sending out something with a 2.5%, 3.5% listing commission on it. I've seen just very inconsistent messages, right? Number three, they have no listing system. The people call them, and once they get the call, nothing happens with the people there. They go, oh, well, that person didn't want to list their house. So then that person just goes off into the world, and nothing happens. Nothing happens with that lead, right? They never follow up on it. They never enter it. Number four, we touched on this a second ago, they really have no plan for this system. They're literally, they just decided one day and they started doing something, and nothing happened after that, right? And number, they don't maintain a database. Maybe they're doing some mail, maybe they're doing something, but they're really not doing anything consistently. One of the things that I see agents doing, man, is they make these calls, right? We see them online. Some of them do it in their face. You can see the pain in their face making these cold calls, right? And they're just calling random people in their market. Dude, if they would really narrow their thing down, target a certain area, they could do like a lot of business. But they don't. They want to call 10, 15, 20,000 numbers a month, and then the next month calling different 20,000 numbers. And man, and they just don't really, if they were calling that same 15,000 numbers a month, they would get a lot closer to being successful. So what we're going to do, and what I don't want to talk about today a lot, is to talk about making calls, right? Because we're all sick of that. We hear agents talk about it. You guys have heard me talk about it. I think it's a way to still do business out there. But I think it's, I think that a lot of the farming stuff that we're going to talk about, we're going to really get into how can you have that business without being glued to the phone every day, right? I don't know about you guys, but 20 years in the real estate business, God, man, I hate talking on the phone nowadays. 4 things we're going to cover. Talk about how to pick an area. I'll give you guys some ideas. How to get the data from that area. Number 2. Number 3, how to integrate your message. Number 4, marketing channels, right? How can you get your message out there? So number 1, how to pick an area. So one of the things that I look at is turnover rate, right? If you got 2,000 homes, and you got a 5% turnover rate. Now, turnover rate, you got to do a little research in your MLS, figure out how many homes are in a community, and then you go out there and you look at how many sold over the last 12 months. Okay. So, or you know, me and a friend of mine, we were talking about this yesterday. We were talking about podcasts and creating a podcast, and we were talking about, man, you know what? And I was talking about this webinar with him and stuff, and I was going, man, you know what? If you took an area like like a more rural area, like Johnsonville, Hemingway. That's 45 minutes outside of where I live. That's the very cusp of my market, right? There's one or two agents you see active out there, and you just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to farm 2,000 homes, 3,000 homes in Hemingway and Johnsonville, South Carolina. Took a small market like Andrews, South Carolina. Said, you know what? I'm really gonna target this area, and this is what I'm going to do. Man, you could really get some traction. However, there's not a crazy amount of turnover rate right there. But what I'd recommend doing is looking at the area you want to work consistently over the next 3 to 4 years of your career, 2 to 5 years of your career, right? 3 to 5 years of your career. Like me personally, the area I live in, I'm probably not leaving this area anytime soon, right? I mean, unless some amazing house pops up on the market, I'm not going to leave the Pawleys Allen area. I like it. I like their stores. I like so much about it. Schools are really good. I mean, so for me personally, if I was going to start this over right now today, I would pick Pawleys Allen, South Carolina. I'd pick somewhere close to home, right? Or somewhere close to the office. And most of us nowadays, let's be honest, we're working from home. So I'd pick somewhere close to home where I would look 2,000, 3,000 homes, 4,000 homes. I think you start small. Maybe you start with 1,000. You figure out an area and you start there, right? So 2,000 homes at a 5% turnover rate, it's going to be 100 listing opportunities a year. There's roughly and this is low. Well, but let's say you didn't have this. Maybe you only had 3% turnover rate, right? So we look at that and we go, okay, how do we get to be the agent that gets a shot at those 100 listings, right? How do we even get to be on the list of those 100 listings, right? We got to do that. So number one is those homes we need to get data for a farming area, okay? And by data, you need the addresses of the homes you're going to target. The addresses of the homes you're going to target. You need phone numbers, and GeoLeads actually gives you emails, okay? So if you're using GeoLeads Plus, and I just went ahead and put it up there on the screen. If you use that jasonmorrisredx.com, they'll raise $150 setup fee. It's $119.98 a month. Now, and that gives you 7,500 number lookups a month, right? So you could literally go out here and you could target neighborhoods around your personal residence. You can draw, you can basically draw circles, geographic fencing, and draw areas and literally pull information on 7,500 properties a month, right? Now, here's the thing though. Here's the thing, for what we're doing, you don't necessarily need 7,500 a month, right? But I'd pick an area. I'd get GeoLeads Plus, and I'd get started on pulling those areas until you have that 2,000, 3,000 homes where you have phone numbers, emails, and all that stuff. You keep adding to it. You keep basically, you know, your business is like a funnel, right? You just keep dumping these leads into the top of it, updating these leads, and then you go out there and you target those leads, right? So how do you reach your farm area and stay in front of them, right? Okay, so this is pretty simple, guys. Are you guys getting this? Is this like something that this is what you guys come here for, right? Raise your hand and let me see it. That's what you guys come here today for, right? To learn how to do this and get some ideas on how to build this farm. Okay, there's an agent I'm friends with. He don't want me to tell what market he's in, but he's in a market on the East Coast. It's not Myrtle Beach, but he's in that market on the East Coast. It's very comparable to where I'm at. He has a farm of about 15,000 homes that he targets, very similar to what we're talking about. And the guy is making over $2.5 million a year. Okay. And so how do you reach them and stay in front of them? Okay. So we're going to start with the hard things first, right? The labor intensive things, and then we're going to move on to some other things. So open houses. Okay. Now, we know in the past, if you followed me, I've not been a fan of open houses. Not been the biggest fan of open houses, man. I've always felt like, hey, that 2-3 hours that you spend on open houses, if you spend that same 2-3 hours making calls, then, it'd be just a little different for you. However, I think with this geographic farming area, what you want to do is you want to have another reason to reach your farm, right? You want to have a reason for people to see you out in your farm, right? And it isn't necessarily the open house. Okay, what a lot of agents are doing right now with open houses is they get a listing in the area and then they get somebody else to do the open house. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, however, I feel like if you get somebody else to do the open house, I feel like it should be your sign that goes out in front. If you're operating as the Jason Morris real estate team, I think it should be a Jason Morris real estate sign that goes out front. Now, this is where branding comes in. A lot of us don't want to spend the money on branding. We don't spend money on branding. We don't have consistent branding. But this is where your branding really will benefit you, is in a farm area. And a lot of us as real estate agents, we've never been taught that. We've never been taught some basics of marketing. So we'll have one brand that does one thing, and then we'll have another logo that does another thing. We just like creating logos and bullshit, right? This is where you want to have consistent branding, a consistent message, right? So you have your open house set up, or maybe you go to your office, see who has listings in that area. You volunteer to do open houses of those listings, and part of it is you get to stick your sign out front. Now, here's the thing. Okay, so you're doing the open houses. People are seeing you out there in your farm. That's number one. Okay, and these are in no particular order. Number two. Let's skip number two. I don't like mail, dude. Okay, number three. Okay, so you got your open house. You make calls to the neighborhood, right? You pull up your geo leads. You pull up Willowbrook Plantation, whatever the community is. And, you call everybody in that community. Hey, this Saturday we got an open house from 1 to 3. Hey, this is Jason Morris. Just want to give you a call. Got an open house at 123 Main Street. It's 1 to 3. I just wanted to call and personally invite you to come out to it. Hey, by the way, do you know anybody else looking to sell or buy a house in your neighborhood? Right. So you got to touch your farm. Everybody got to hear from you. Now, if you don't get them on the phone, guys, you could take that same list you pulled in GeoLeads, load it up in a slide dial, load it up in something like that, and do voicemail drops with it, right? Do the same invite. So they're here, every person in your farm area. You can actually do it to your whole farm. So if you have 3,000, 5,000 people in your farm, you do the voicemail drop to the whole farm, right? Let them know that you're out there working. Let them know this Friday or this Saturday you're going to be out there. This Sunday you're going to be out there. Hey, did Jason Morris come by, say hello, and I don't know, eat a cookie, right? You invite them out there. You do the voicemail drops. Maybe you call the community it's in, then you do the voicemail drop to your whole database, right? You can do voicemail drops for a couple of cents a piece, and it's very inexpensive, right? Now you could, if you plan far enough ahead, you could do a postcard or something out to the community, right? They see you again. The idea is you want to put yourself out there in your farm area as being the go-to agent. You want to dominate that farm, right? You want, when everybody there in those communities or that small area says, man, I need a real estate agent, right? We all have, dude, attorneys do this really well. When you guys think of an attorney in your market, all of us have that attorney that we've seen the billboards, we've seen the TV commercial, we've seen the mailer in the mail, we've seen, God, there's one here, Akeem Anastapolo. I mean, the dude has a real funky name, number one, that just sticks with you. Who hasn't, and then number two is, dude, we see his stuff everywhere. There used to be an attorney here named Harry Pavlak, and Harry Pavlak, man, he was on billboards, he was everywhere, right? And dude, the guy done a lot of attorney business from that. We don't see real estate agents doing that at all. We'll see an agent put up a billboard, then they do nothing else to support that billboard, right? Or they put up a billboard and then they do another whole thing. But we do voicemail drops, right? And we can do these voicemail drops. And we're going to get to some ideas on what to do exactly. We're just talking about channels right now. Okay, number 5, we can text out to the neighborhood too, right? We can text out to the neighborhood. We can text out to the farm area. Maybe we text the 500 houses that are closest to it, right, through GeoLeads. We set it up in GeoLeads. We pull a list of the top, the closest 500 houses. We send them all a text. Maybe we do 100 houses. Maybe we do 200 houses, depending on what your budget is in the time that you have, right? Okay, number 6, if you guys are using GeoLeads, man, you do that same open house. You get this, you do an email out, you do a text message out, you do a voicemail drop, right? You call the houses in the direct community, right? Then you do an email out. Then you run a Facebook ad to your database about the open house, right? We see agents just throw it on Facebook and maybe 10 of your friends see it. You got an external lease, but external link, so it really gets caught up in the algorithm and nobody really sees the thing. Or you're sharing it in Facebook groups on the other side of the country, right? But what if you did that open house thing and you did an ad, or you just did a video of yourself standing in front of the house and says, "Hey, Jason Morris, we're having an open house here from 1 to 4 on Saturday. Come out and take a look at this house and let me know how I can help you with your real estate needs, or come out and eat a cookie with us or something." The more catchy and the more interactive you make it, the better it's going to work out, the ad. Okay. Then, okay, we got just listed cards and door knocking. So guys, we take that area though. You've got that area of those 2,000 homes. Okay, you're doing 1 to 2 open houses a month. You're putting out your signs, you're putting balloons on your signs. You got everything branded with the ABC team. You got all this going on. People are riding around. They're seeing you doing business. You look like you're doing stuff there, right? Maybe you take and you do your video walkthrough of the house. It lasts 2 or 3 minutes. You throw that up on your business page with a message, "Hey, we're doing an open house here today. Wanted to show you guys some of the top features of the home." Throw that out there. You spend $5 boosting that post out to your custom audience on Facebook, right? Okay, that's one idea. You market your open houses to it. Okay, you could do mailers that open house. Honestly, you could take and do a couple of open houses and then just take that list, take that area, and just market those open houses, guys. And you could get a lot of traction over time as long as you're consistent. But I'll be honest with you, open house, man, you could take door knock the neighborhood, do a Facebook ad, do a voicemail drop, do an email out, do a text out to the neighborhood, man, and then of course put your balloons, put your directional signs and all that stuff out. And some of you guys can have the biggest open houses you've ever had in your career, just doing those things. And a lot of that stuff you guys can automate, right? Okay. Now here's the thing. You want to touch your database regularly, and you want to integrate your marketing messages. Okay, so guys, here's something real interesting, man. Nobody's doing mailers anymore, right? Nobody's doing mailers anymore. So if you're doing a nice looking mail piece, you're doing a postcard, you're doing a just listed, just sold postcard, you're doing some sort of postcard out with a message. Guys, that sort of thing is working in today's market because nobody else is doing it. Okay, instead of circle prospecting and literally just calling random people on a list, you're taking and you're making 100 dials, right? And that doesn't take you long. If you got a 3-line dialer, man, you can knock those out in an hour with no problems. And you're making those calls. You got that 5,000 list. You got that 5,000 person neighborhood. Do 150 calls a day. You could touch those people once a month, right? Or you could touch them twice a quarter, right? With a call. You could touch them once a month with a voicemail drop. Hey, Jason Morris here. Just wanted to touch base with you. Jason Morris with XYZ Realty here. Just wanted to touch base with you. We got a couple great homes coming on the market. If you want to see more information about them, go to my Facebook page or give me a call. Or you know what? You got a deal that comes on the market. Dude, you got a foreclosure coming up on the market, right? We're going to see some of those soon. You send out that voicemail drop to your farm. Hey, Jason Morris here. We got a foreclosure that just came came up on the market, looks like a great deal in your area. I just want to give you a call and see if you know about any buyers looking for it, right? You don't have to say an address. I actually would not say an address. You want to give them a reason to call you, right? You could run that same Facebook ad, right, about a foreclosure. You could send out a text message. Guys, if you're doing this podcast, right, maybe you're doing a podcast for a small town, small area, like I'm using where I live, Pawleys Island as an example. We're a little different than Myrtle Beach. You know, there's year-round residences here. There's a lot of retirees. Maybe you are doing a podcast a couple times a month talking about Pawleys Island. Maybe you're doing some local videos, right? Talking about new construction or something going on. And man, you could actually text, you could email links out of those. You could send out an email, of course. You could do a regular email list where you're talking, dude, you know what? I've seen an agent a while back doing one. You could literally go through your farm area and look for the deal of the week that you send out consistently every single Monday. Doesn't even have to be your listing. Just you look through your farm area, you pick out the house you think's the best price or the best value or whatever it is, the one that just had the big price drop on it, maybe, right? You send that email out to your farm area, right? They have, I guarantee you right now, everybody knows somebody that's either looking to buy, sell, or rent a house. Everybody knows those people, right? But maybe you do the deal of the week email, right? Now make sure it's actually a deal. It isn't a deal. Just because it's your listing, it's not a deal, right? Okay, Facebook ads. You could run an ad about a foreclosure in the area. You could run an ad about your open house. You could run an ad, top three things buyers are looking for in Pawleys Island right now. Top 5 reasons a house didn't sell in Pawleys Island right now. You could do a market update. You could do a video with a market update where literally you're doing a screen share of MLS and what sold in the last week. And literally do a 1-2 minute video, 5-minute video at most, talk about what sold in the last week in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, and literally boost that Facebook ads, and people are going to watch this. You know, remember, if you're only targeting 5,000 people, if you get 25 people looking at it and watch it all the way through, 50 people looking at it, you get 100 downloads on your podcast, man, you're making traction. And okay, if you're doing this one time though, it's not going to matter. However, you do this 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, you're going to start doing some business, and those 100 opportunities that we talked about, you know, in a 2,000 farm area, you're going to start regularly getting some of those, right? You're going to regularly start getting some of those at bats. And that's what you want. That's what this is going to do, is it's going to bring you at bats, right? If you could do just listed, just sold. You know, when you do sell something, I would definitely do that in my farm area, whether it's a Facebook ad, whether it's a voicemail drop, whether it's phone calls. Guys, doing phone calls, we forget how powerful that is to call the neighborhood where we just listed a house and go, hey, Mr. Neighbor, this is Jason Morris here. Just wanted to call you and tell you, hey, we just sold the house at 123 Main Street. Wanted to see if you knew anybody in your neighborhood that might else be looking to sell. We've got some interested buyers, right? Do it for just listed. Hey, we got a house that just came on the market, 123 Main Street. Just wanted to call you and see if you knew anybody that might be interested. Maybe you could pick your brand new neighbor, right? We forget about that. Guys, this is something that, man, was a big deal back when I was a new agent. I see nobody really doing this anymore. Is going out there, man, and having a real door knocking strategy. Okay. And so one of the things that we used to do all the time when I was a brand new agent, you'll get to really know your farm and people will get to know you, is every time you see a listing come on the market, you go preview it. You go preview every listing that comes up in that area. Okay. And what you do is when you go preview it, you print out your 20 flyers. And typically what we would do is you go look at 123 Main Street, you knock on 5 doors to the left, 5 doors to the right, and 10 doors across the street, right? If they're not home, you stick out your flyers. You just hit 20 people. It took you probably 20 minutes. And guys, you're doing that. Plus you're doing all these other things dude, 3 to 6 months from now, everybody in your farm area is going to know who you are, right? So guys, yeah, well, Sally, you know what? That's the interesting thing. If we go out to these small areas, right, and you've got an opportunity there, because if you go out to these small areas and these small little towns and subdivisions, right, and you're running Facebook ads, you're doing your voicemail drops. Maybe you can't door knock, maybe you can't do the 10 by 10 strategy because the next house is 2 miles down the road. But those rural areas, nobody is really doing anything there, right? They're not doing the podcast, they're not doing the videos. Guys, they're not doing a blog, they're not working on a website where you're doing descriptions of the areas, where they're posting things on it, where people are searching communities and properties for sale in those communities. There's people searching, of course, they're searching about the community, like, for example, Willbrook, home for sale, and they're really narrowing it down. Oceanfront here, there are people literally searching resorts. They went and stayed in Anderson Ocean Club last week, had a great time on vacation, and now they're going, man, what are they selling for there, right? Man, there's a lot of opportunity with that. And guys, if you went through your community, went through your area, you wrote a great description of every single neighborhood that you're farming, wrote a great description of it, put the property search down below. A lot of websites are allowing this, and a lot of websites you can incorporate this pretty easy, depending on the CRM you're using. And you went out and wrote a great description, took some unique pictures of it, so that Google sees your information is great. You put the title, homes for sale, XYZ community, homes for sale. So if you give me just a second, we'll get to that. But you put XYZ homes for sale on it. At the top, make sure your keywords are all straight. You guys would show up in the search engine. You guys would show up in Google like pretty quickly because the competition is really, really low. So Sylvia asked about Facebook ads. Guys, and when you're pulling data from some like GeoLeads, right? Guys, you can take that data and you get it in the CSV file, you upload it to Facebook as a custom audience, and you can actually target. You ever wonder how you have this funky stuff showing up? There's a couple of different ways you have these funky ads showing up. Number one, you've either went to a website, you downloaded a cookie that's got your Facebook pixel in it, and now you're seeing the ad because of an ad that whoever on that website is running. That's one way. Or you went and filled out a form, you put in your phone number that's associated with your Facebook account, or your email address is associated with your Facebook account, and they are running ads against that custom audience. So you can go out there and get in front of 100, 200 people a day for just $1 or $2 a day, running these Facebook ads against a custom audience right now. And there's agents doing stuff like that, but they're not really doing it consistently, right? And they're not doing it in a targeted way. And that's why the agents that are really doing this and really using this integrated approach are really doing so well with it, is because they have an integrated approach. Guys, we're seeing the same thing with expireds, and we're seeing it with for sale by owners, where you're on the phone, you're calling, and there's a lot of you guys getting some great traction calling, right? But then they're taking those expired leads, uploading the phone number and the email address into a Facebook custom audience, and then they're running an ad against that custom audience. Top 3 reasons your home didn't sell. Top 3 reasons your home didn't sell with a realtor. They're running ads, videos, and stuff like that. And so the person is getting the phone call for them. They're getting the voicemail. They're getting the text message. They're getting an email. Then they're logging on Facebook and they're seeing him again. So they've seen Jason Morris. They got a phone call from him, a voicemail from him, a text message from him, and an email from him. Jason Morris knocked on my door and left something here for me. And then, God, I got on Facebook. This dude's popping up again. Like, how do I get away from him, right? The only way to get away from you is list the house with you, right? But you're able to get 5, 7, 8 touches with that potential client, that potential lead, before anybody, most of the agents in your market even know what's going on. Does this make sense to you guys that are on the call? And guys, most of this, way, actually doing this farm, a lot of this, man, you could literally set up your custom audience that you're feeding once a month, however many numbers. Set up your voicemail drop, set up your Facebook ad. You can literally do this in a couple of hours and look at what's automated, what's cheap to do, and literally automate this farm area. So if you got those 2,000, that list of 2,000 people, you're steady going in front of them. You're steady showing up in front of them. And that 5% turnover ratio, whatever that was, you're literally able to get in front of them. So Natasha, makes sense. What company are you recommending for automation of voicemail drops, text blasts, etc.? If you guys want to message me on Facebook, I'll hook you up with what we've been doing, testing a lot of this stuff out, what other people are using, and a custom solution that we've been working on that might get you where you want to be. But yes, you can automate this stuff to do that. So what questions do you guys have? What things can I help you guys with here today? Or what questions do you guys have about what we've talked about today? So cool, man, cool. Hey guys, I'm gonna stop the recording here real quick, and we'll talk for just a couple of seconds about some other things.